Fire at lithium battery factory in South Korea kills 22. Julian Assange reaches plea deal with the U.S. Experts say Gaza is at high risk of famine. Vietnam's VinFast looks to tiny EV. Extreme heat kills 6 tourists in Greece. Booking.com warns of up to 900% increase in travel scams.
Hello, I'm Johnny. Thank you for joining us on Funday News. It's Wednesday, June 26th, and here are your top stories. A fire likely sparked by exploding lithium batteries swept through a manufacturing factory near South Korea's capital on Monday, killing 22 people, mostly Chinese migrant workers, and injuring 8 others. According to a witness, the fire began after batteries exploded while workers were examining and packaging them on the second floor of the factory in Hwaseong City, just south of Seoul, at around 10:30 a.m. A fire official said they would investigate the cause of the blaze. During a televised briefing, the local fire official stated that the deceased include 18 Chinese, 2 South Koreans, 1 Laotian, and 1 individual whose nationality couldn't be immediately verified.
In the past few decades, many people from China, including ethnic Koreans, have migrated to South Korea to seek jobs. Like other foreign migrants from Southeast Asian nations, they often end up in factories or in physically demanding and low-paying jobs shunned by more affluent South Koreans. Kim said that 1 factory worker remained out of contact, and rescuers continued to search the site. He said that 2 of the 8 injured were in serious condition. The fire started at one of the factory buildings owned by a battery manufacturer, Aerocell. Rechargeable lithium-ion batteries are ubiquitous in consumer goods, from laptops to cell phones. They can overheat if damaged, defective, or packaged improperly, leading to fires and explosions, making them a hazard for shipment aboard aircraft.
According to court documents, WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange plans to plead guilty to a conspiracy charge this week as part of a plea deal with the U.S. Justice Department that will allow him to go free after having spent 5 years in a British prison. Assange was charged by criminal information with conspiracy to obtain and disclose national defense information, the court documents say. U.S. charges against Assange stem from one of the largest publications of classified information in American history, which took place during President Barack Obama's first term.
According to the government, starting in late 2009, Assange conspired with Chelsea Manning, a military intelligence analyst, to use his WikiLeaks website to disclose tens of thousands of activity reports about the war in Afghanistan, hundreds of thousands of reports about the war in Iraq, State Department cables, and assessment briefs of detainees at the U.S. detention camp at Guantanamo Bay, Cuba. Court documents revealing Assange's plea deal were filed Monday evening in U.S. District Court for the Northern Mariana Islands, a U.S. territory in the Pacific Ocean. Assange was expected to appear in that court and be sentenced to 62 months, with credit for time served in British prison, meaning he would be free to return to Australia, where he was born.
A draft report released Monday said that an influx of aid appears to have eased a hunger crisis in northern Gaza for now, but the entire territory remains at high risk of famine after Israel's offensive in Rafah caused displacement and disrupted aid operations in the south. The report by the leading international authority on the severity of hunger crises stated that nearly everyone in Gaza is struggling to get enough food and that more than 495,000 people, greater than a fifth of the population of 2.3 million, are expected to experience the highest level of starvation in the coming months.
That's despite months of U.S. pressure on Israel to facilitate aid efforts, the installation of a $230 million U.S.-built pier beset by problems, and repeated airdrops by multiple countries that aid agencies say are insufficient to meet vital needs. Israel imposed a complete siege on the territory at the start of the war and has only gradually eased it under pressure from Washington. The war has destroyed most of Gaza's capacity to produce its own food. The latest findings come from the Integrated Food Security Phase Classification, or IPC, an initiative first set up in 2004 during the famine in Somalia that now includes more than a dozen UN agencies, aid groups, governments, and other bodies. The Associated Press obtained a draft of its latest report, the final version of which is set to be released Tuesday.
Vietnamese automaker VinFast, once briefly the third most valuable car company in the world, faces a big problem. It just can't sell enough cars. Idle factories bleed money, and the company's financial health is at stake. After finding the U.S. market tough to crack, VinFast hopes its tiniest and cheapest car yet, a roughly 10-foot-long pure battery electric mini SUV priced at $9,200, called the VF3, will become Vietnam's national car and win over consumers in Asian markets. Designed specifically for Vietnamese and other Asian markets, the VF3 is priced for mass appeal.
VinFast dreamed of breaking into the big leagues of global automakers when it launched sales in the U.S. last year and listed its shares on the NASDAQ, briefly surpassing General Motors Corp. and Ford Motor Company in market value in late August. VinFast is facing delays in the $4 billion factory construction in North Carolina, where the company said in an email that it is reviewing all aspects of the construction process. It also faces legal troubles over a crash that killed 4 people in California and allegations of patent infringement. VinFast's future is significant for Vietnam, aligning with the Communist Party's goals, and due to parent company Vingroup's substantial role in the Vietnamese economy. The conglomerate started as an instant noodle company in Ukraine in the 1990s and now operates diverse businesses.
A 67-year-old German has been found dead on the Greek island of Crete, marking the 6th tourist death in June during a period of unusually hot weather. The tourist has set foot alone on a hike in a canyon in the Sugia region on Sunday, and after a few hours called his wife to report that he was not feeling well. A police official told Reuters a search and rescue operation started immediately, and a special rescue unit with drones spotted the man's body in Tripti Canyon. Police did not identify the deceased German.
There has been a spate of deaths and disappearances of tourists during an unusual June heatwave across the Mediterranean country, highlighting the dangers of exposure to temperatures exceeding 40 degrees Celsius. Rescue teams are searching for 2 French women, aged 73 and 64, on the island of Sikinos, and a 59-year-old American policeman on holiday on Amorgos. A 55-year-old American was found dead on the Greek island of Mathraki in the Ionian Sea last week, and a Dutch tourist on the Aegean island of Samos earlier this month. The body of British TV presenter Michael Mosley was found on Simi, another Aegean island, on June 9 after a 4-day search operation with aircraft, drones, and boats. He had taken a walk alone in high temperatures before going missing.
Booking.com is warning that artificial intelligence is driving an explosion in travel scams. The firm's internet safety boss, Marnie Wilking, said there has been anywhere from a 500% to a 900% increase in the past 18 months. She noted a particularly marked increase in phishing, where people are tricked into handing over their financial details since generative AI tools like ChatGPT burst onto the market. She added, "Of course, we have had phishing since the dawn of email, but the uptake started shortly after ChatGPT was launched."
Phishing attacks attempt to convince people to hand over their card details by sending fake internet booking links. Scammers target websites like Booking.com and Airbnb because they allow individuals to list their own places to stay. Jane Hawks, a consumer expert specializing in the travel industry, emphasized that travel providers should step up efforts to make people aware of these scams. She stated, they also have a responsibility to advise travelers on ways to minimize the risk of being scammed. However, she advised people to conduct their research with due diligence to avoid falling for scams. Hawks also recommended checking that contact details are readily available on websites and ensuring there is a telephone number. Many scam sites omit this. Additionally, she suggested booking package holidays instead of flights and accommodations separately, and using a credit card to maximize protection.
The answer for yesterday was C, diminishing. Our efforts were producing diminishing returns. Did you answer correctly? Now let's delve into the news of fire at lithium battery factory in South Korea kills 22. Number 1, affluent. 富裕的. I live in a very affluent neighborhood. Number 2, deceased. 死去的,死亡的,已故的. The identities of the deceased have now been determined. Number 3, ubiquitous. 似乎无所不在,十分普遍的. Sugar is ubiquitous in the diet. Next, we have a multiple choice question for everyone to practice. Which answer would you choose? You can write your answer in the comments section. The correct answer will be announced tomorrow. And that's all for today's Funday News. Be sure to tune in to Funday News from Monday to Friday and click the link below to join Funday for free. I'm Johnny Wu, your host. I'll see you next time.